So it is technically Wednesday, July 25th, but I'm kind of counting this video as Tuesday the 24th, because I'm still technically awake from yesterday. There was someone that I was talking to on Messenger, and they prompted me, or reminded me how I haven't been posting videos. So thank you for keeping me accountable. I am doing something a little bit different this time. Rather than just talking straight to the camera, which I may end up doing anyway, I'm going to, work on something else while I'm talking, and see if maybe that, because I had this theory that maybe in some situations I would be more social, be more expressive, or more open for discussion if my mind or my hands are busy with something else. So one thing I've been wanting to work on more than one occasion is getting like some sort of video editing software to work, and I've been having issues with it for the past 5 times I've tried. I've been having this like QuickTime issue. Long story short, I might have a possible solution for it, but it requires what to me feels like an unnecessary workaround, but I guess that's better than not being able to edit videos. So I'm just gonna try it and see what happens. Maybe I'll fiddle with that and just kind of get used to the software while I talk about stuff and not knowing what I'm gonna say. I started making a little visual like progress list thingy, or I don't know what to call it, keeping track of all the days that I'm actually doing the meditation, the videos, and getting out of the house, and finally sent in my 90-day commitment / mini self-contract thing to Kyle's team. So even though I'm like roughly 25 days in, that email is probably going to prompt me 90 days later rather than in I don't know, whatever. Lost my train of thought, but why is this doing that? Okay, so part of my 6-month thing is, well, I've already talked about it before. Basically, the main goal is to basically be living fully in my heart every single day, if possible, or to be spending at least 50 to 70% of my day doing level 10 things, or things that expand me or kind of push me to my heart's edge. And it's either I do that, and that would count as a winning day, or if I don't necessarily feel like I've kind of been at that point. Like, so far I feel like the only couple times I've really been at that point is at LA, at the indie event, sometimes at some of the dances, but not all of them, spending time with my friend. Those are usually I would call like living at my heart's edge. But if I'm not necessarily doing that day, my 3 minimums are meditating, doing a video or blog post and publishing it, and getting out of the house in some shape or form. And the condition I set for myself is to, for the next 90 days and then also 6 months, I have to be doing that at least 70% of the time frame, like 70% doing those things. And for like that would be my like winning threshold. And if I fail to have 70% of my days be kind of committed to that, then I will basically give $10 away for each day that I missed. So I kind of averaged it out that I would need to have at least 65 days during the 90-day period to count that as a win, or 25 fails, like flexibility for failing, which I've already missed 9 days, which is kind of a lot for only being less than 30 days in. So out of the 25, or if I miss more than 25, like if I miss 30 days, that would be 5 past the threshold, which means I would have to give away $50. So that kind of ups the ante for me, rather than just having this open-ended project and not necessarily having a consequence. Maybe I'll add some sort of reward for completing them in either 30-day and 90-day increments, and just have like some sort of reward or some sort of thing that I can do. I don't know. I feel like there was something I was going to talk about, but I don't remember what it was. I actually fell asleep on the floor for probably a good 30 minutes or something like that. I was listening to a podcast between Matt Diavella and Lewis Howes, I believe. But actually I was asleep because I'm actually like really tired right now. And I naturally did not retain very much of that information. I was going to try and fix an audio sync issue with one of the videos I did when I was doing practice dance stuff, so I'm going to try that. And if I can get this editing software to work, then once I start uploading these videos, I can actually trim out the little segments where I'm not really talking or just kind of trying to think of things to say. That way people that watch aren't as bored. Let's see. I'll just copy all these over here. So I was debating whether or not I should just stop this video and just start a new one. It doesn't really matter. So I'm about, I think, halfway through the week where my family is out in Indianapolis going on vacation. So I basically had the house to myself for the past two full days, maybe 2.5 days if I count Sunday. And I've noticed I'm kind of in a very similar state as I was while I was in Los Angeles, while I was at Indie Dance X. Basically where I kind of feel a lot more free, a lot more independent. I noticed basically a bigger lack of guilt and shame about myself, or just the things that I do. A little bit more of a conviction to just do certain things and just kind of do things freely without being too self-conscious. And maybe intuitively I kind of felt like that was what would happen if the family left the house and I had the house to myself, and I just kind of kept doing my own thing without having this feeling of people looking over my shoulder all the time, even though that's not necessarily the case. So I think that was part of the reason for not going on the trip. Part of it was wanting to actually kind of be home after being in LA for a week, and then coming home, barely getting a chance to settle in, and then leaving for Indy, and just really not having a good chance to really sit down and process the whole thing and just kind of get reintegrated into stuff, even though I still haven't really processed my trip. Like I've mentally gotten down a lot of my thoughts down onto paper with the LA trip. I feel like probably could do like a little like recap of like big shifts that I kind of noticed, but I think I can probably do that once I actually start writing like a blog post about my trip. So yeah, I'm just in a kind of different state as a result of family being out of the house and just having the house to myself, not really worrying about being seen, I guess, is really what it comes down to. Or, I don't know. Let's see if I can... We'll just try that one. Okay. One other thing I kind of... Whoa, what does this mean? Sure, why not? Oh boy. Oh boy. Upside down. Well, at least I can get videos onto this thing now, so that's a start. Now I have to figure out how to add effects so that right here. No? I'm gonna pause this and figure this out. Yay, fixed it. Okay. So the random thing that I was thinking about... Oh shit. Why is it doing that? It's totally not going to be good. Maybe it's not going to be such a good idea for me to be doing things while talking, because I'm too focused on this, but one thing, maybe it's just a matter of practice for me to be able to do that, to multitask, which might be helpful for social situations as well. Anyway, okay, so the thing I was thinking about earlier today was so my friend sent me a Snapchat, and I looked at it, and I went to go send a snap back, just to kind of get used to Snapchat and get used to like actually engaging in a different platform. And my phone just like could not handle the software for that, just because my phone is so old. It's Galaxy S3, and it's on S9 now, so it's 6 generations old at least. And what's this button? Ooh, that's helpful. Over here. And okay, that's where I need to be. And basically kind of decided that I probably won't be able to actually use Snapchat to send stuff to people. I could receive the Snapchat just fine, even though I only have like 5 people on it, so really the only person I'm going to get a Snapchat from is her at the moment, unless I have some drive to actually like go follow and get followed by all the people that I know that have Snapchat. But Instagram for me works just fine, and I was kind of thinking about Snapchat and Instagram, kind of like how both have basically the stories feature, which for me is understanding it as basically temporary content where I could post something, have it not be basically content that's not going to be as big of a deal and not something that I really care to keep, or is not so much of a big deal to have like a list of short videos for me to really have online anywhere. But it would be a good way for me to kind of get familiar with just like pulling out the camera and just saying something to it, like a 5-10 second clip, and then posting it, and then having the opportunity of people seeing it. Whether the whole thing for me is not really whether or not people see it, but the thing I was thinking about today is using basically Instagram stories as a way to help me kind of push myself to start thinking more creatively and start thinking in ways of like how I can look at my environment around me and what I can look at and record or talk about and kind of get it out on a more consistent basis, so that I'm actually not worrying or stressing so much about making like a good video, and just getting more into the process of seeing something that's possibly worth recording it, and hitting publish or whatever in like a minute. Like spending less time thinking about doing this big thing and more time actually just creating something. And I think that would help to kind of develop a consistency or develop a routine of creation. And so that's something that I'm starting to think about, is maybe just trying to do like an Instagram story a day or something like that. Not necessarily for any sort of like viewership or to, because I don't think really anyone's gonna really care to watch the stuff that I post, but because I don't really have any interest in the stuff that I post either. But just forcing myself to kind of be in the creative mindset and to get more into the discipline of observing or noticing things that might be worth sharing, recording it, and publishing it. Like just making that more consistent, which is a discipline thing that I need to work on a bit more. Like there's something else. Then on the flip side, if I do end up using Snapchat, I think Instagram stories or Instagram in general just has a way for me to save the video or the snap or story or photo or whatever else, and then I could probably upload that to Snapchat a lot easier rather than using Snapchat's interface, because that's where the hardware limitations are for me. Hardware and software limitations. I have no problem with Instagram. It's still a bit slow, but it's like not anywhere near as bad as what Snapchat is. But I think I can recall files from my phone's like hard drive space, and just like upload it straight from that rather than recording it natively in Snapchat. So that is a workaround, possibly. So maybe I'll try that next time. I don't know if there's really anything else for me to really talk about. I am in the process of trying to basically get my life in order, and there's a couple aspects of that. There's one, I want to start working on the self-authoring suite. I gifted one of the copies that I had to Tara, and sounds like she's been getting a lot of good benefit out of that. I still need to restart it. First time I did it, and big thing for me was just not worrying about doing it perfectly the first time, which is I know what Jordan Peterson talked about. The first time I did it, I did the present virtues, present faults, all of the future, and then probably about half of the past. So I almost got through the entire suite. It's definitely a very long process, and I think I got a lot out of it, and I think I ended up with like 40 pages of like content that I personally wrote, that were kind of all about like where I was going and kind of who I am. So I went to go through it and kind of be more intentional with creating that, and just kind of actually kind of structuring my life around what I go through or what I create through that. And so I want to start. I'm probably going to start with the future authoring, because that's basically where I'm at right now. Is it's been a while since I've done a video. I'm like, can't think of words. Basically, all the North Stars that I want to have, or that I have, I can put those into the future authoring and structure like an actual concrete sort of roadmap, or creating a more compelling future for me that will pull me forward towards what I want to work on, so that I'm not wasting my days like a majority of the time. So that is one thing I'm working on. I also posted an espresso just kind of talking about hitting the reboot button on life and my 24-hour pity party, and I have to reply to a couple people on that first, and I guess I should look at what I actually wrote for that, which I think I have here. I kind of didn't get the things done I wanted to get done, but that's okay. Kind of the things that I wanted to have kind of somewhat figured out within the 24 hours was to have a somewhat more consciously chosen, compelling direction to be moving forward in for career and in life, even if it adapts in the short term. Part of that can attach to the future authoring. But I know for me, I think it's... Excuse me. I think in the short term it's going to come down to getting on top of like the writing business side or freelancing. So being more disciplined with working with the clients that I have, finding new clients, updating freelancing profiles, and then starting to learn copywriting a little bit more proactively. I'm just kind of figuring out where else I can go with the writing aspect of business, and kind of starting to find clients in different places that I can find work and do work. And then the second part of that is going to be the dance stuff, so getting more involved with the Anchor Room, getting more concrete with how I'm going to do things with my personal dance and teaching dance, which is going to be a very big mindset thing of just kind of pushing myself through the initial stages of not feeling like I'm ready for it. And then starting the Swing Literacy, which is a program I bought earlier this year and still haven't even opened. I had it opened and I read the first page, but I still have to actually go through it, which will naturally help with all my teaching and probably my personal dance as well. And then life-wise, I don't think I really have a super compelling life direction. I think it's just those major or subcomponents of writing, dance, and teaching dance are, I think, probably the main things that are kind of pulling at me. I don't really have a compelling direction life-wise that I want to go in, and maybe that'll kind of surface up as I do the future authoring, and yeah, I'm just kind of work with what I just said, so I'm going to write that down right now. The second part of my post was working on moving out, which is, I know, something I've talked about as well. That's the short and medium term kind of goal. From LA, my goal was to basically move out by the end of August, even though I'm not financially ready, and I feel like that would jumpstart the kind of inner drive to actually start making more money, and to kind of figure out how to make money, even if I have to go find a part-time job that I don't really care about. I feel like that's probably putting me in a better position than not doing any work at all. So I think there are... Basically, I've been a little bit stubborn or egotistical about the freelance work. I don't necessarily want to be working for someone else, even though I think maybe I would possibly work better with the team or kind of work underneath someone in some cases. But ever since I quit Big Lots and started, I went full-time on writing, I just have not really sustained it and haven't really grown it to a point where I can actually live on my own off of that income. It goes up and down, but which I know is normal. But I kind of got into this mindset where I feel like I shouldn't go get a part-time job, because that in a way would signify a failing of going full-time into the writing. But at this point I'm realizing that making the money and developing the skill sets that come along with being in a part-time position or full-time position somewhere else are but would drastically outweigh the fact that I'm not progressing very far in my life in that aspect. So that's something I'm open to, which is kind of a tangent, but might possibly have a lead on a place to stay in my room with someone else that I kind of know. Well, met through a friend, and now we're fairly good friends. We don't really talk a whole lot, but that is an option. So working on moving out and optimizing my environment, which is the second part of that, for minimalism and less distractions, more clarity and space for work that matters, etc. So spending more time going through all my stuff and getting rid of as much as possible so that I have less to own, less to move, less to mentally worry about. That includes digital assets too, so I could probably spend like a couple weeks just going through all this shit on my computer, and because I'm sure like 98% of it is stuff I don't really care about outside of like pictures and video. So there's that. Number 3, clearing the decks physically and digitally, which was where the visual image of a reboot kind of came into place. Like I kind of had this nudge to basically take all my bookmarks that I have on my computer, all the obligations I have on like to-do lists or whatever, and just kind of stuff them all in one folder or one box, and then just have nothing, have a clean slate, and then start basically rebuilding my digital assets for the things that are actually important or relevant for me. So like my email accounts, like have a folder for that. For my to-do lists, I just make a whole new brain dump of all the things I need to get done or get caught up on, like I don't know, taxes or whatever else is super important. Basically just kind of hitting start over and not feeling like I'm like 3 years behind on all the things I need to be getting done and should have gotten done. Which is whatever else, such as clearing out obligations unless they're super high priority, and brain dumping all the things I really need to get done. Then number 4, start doing the things, keep focusing on self-discipline again and again, which is basically the advice that I got the first time I made one of these posts. And the follow-ups that people have posted were things that I partially kind of already knew, but it's good to get the feedback again. And got some recommendations on content to pay attention to, which is what I probably should focus on instead of watching all these other podcasts, even though they're helpful. So, ones are listen to that content, and then someone kind of commented that I'm probably giving myself too hard of a time, which could be getting in the way. A reminder that it's possible that you can change, which are things I know, but whatever. And then basically the key thing is going to be just picking one thing and getting it done. Picking one thing, not having anything else, and just focusing on that until it gets done. So now I need to decide what that one thing is. I think for me it'll probably, the thing that would probably kind of push me to the next level that isn't like massively huge is probably going to be updating personal business things and restructuring like profiles and my webpage so that it would be incongruent with what I'm trying to connect with in the freelance world, and then actually going out and start contacting other people and start looking for work, basically. That would probably be the one thing I think that would help me the most, or creating a little bit more concrete of a plan with what I'm doing with dance and teaching and all that. Something in that kind of area. I had a list of things that I was going to do, which got overrun by notes from Jordan Peterson's video and podcast. So what is that? I don't know what that word is. So basically writing in clients, branding for West Coast and dance teaching, Anchor Room stuff, fiddling hip film, and going through LA and indie photos, and creating blog posts and stories for both of those, and Fashion Cove. Kind of like the things I should probably most work on. I'm just gonna end it there. So maybe tomorrow when I'm a little bit more coherent, I will pick one and I will just focus on that, which is a good good timing that parents are out of the house, and I'm in this sort of mindset that I can probably just sit down and focus on that for a couple of days and kind of immerse myself in that before weekend shenanigans comes around. Which reminds me, I still have to make posts, and I'm so behind on other stuff, but it's whatever. Totally derailed from what I was working on clip film. Figuring out how to clip in and out buttons on the trimmer. Oh goodness. Insert. No. That's where the desync is happening. Okay, so I don't know if there's anything else for me to talk about. Sometimes I feel like I'm probably trying to do too much at once, and that advice pretty much is critical. I just have to pick one thing and I just have to get it done. Just have to start working on it. Stop avoiding it. That's basically where my life is right now. Like that one thing that I could be getting done is something I could have done 3 years ago, and not to say the past 3 years have been a waste, but I think I'd be in a very different place if I had gotten that thing done, or gotten through that little obstacle. Yeah, I don't know. But I've had other experiences of growth since then. So, I think I'm probably going to end this video here. I'm just going to publish it and see whatever, just to kind of get back on the track of posting. That way I can scribble in some pink highlighter for my little to-do list thingy, whatever, and kind of get back in the habit of creating consistency, since I've had 4 days in a row where I haven't had a full 3 out of 3 day. So if there's anything else super important, I'm sure I'll show up later or another time.